Hello, everyone. Jay Wicker with Real Estateaholics. And I got my co-host here with me, Mr. Cody Cox. How you doing, Mr. Cody?
I'm doing well, Jay. Good to see you. It's been a while. I was just thinking last time you and I got a opportunity to talk with each other was before the Christmas holidays. And so hopefully everything went well for you. You didn't get too much coal in your stocking and got everything you wanted.
No, I didn't, man. How did everything go with you, with the family?
It went well. It went well. It was pretty calm, and I got to play Santa Claus a couple times at a couple different events, which is always fun to play with the kids and do that sort of stuff. So,
You guys didn't get in that snow, huh?
we haven't got any snow here yet. Although it's been cold, I've been waking up and it's been like, 30, 31, 32 degrees. I think I got all the way up to 39 today. Just kind of overcast and gray, which is just kind of the way the winters are in the Northwest here. So,
Yeah, we got quite a bit here in Texas, man. We got quite a bit here in Texas, man. So it was kind of strange, man, to go outside and look outside. I kind of stayed in the house.
yeah.
Just go outside and kind of see all this is going on. It reminded me of, I'm originally from Michigan, so
Oh,
it kind
yeah.
of reminded me of Michigan, man, for a while there. So
I
I'm
actually
like,
have
what?
a house in Michigan that I'm trying to sell
Is that what part?
in Corona, Michigan, if you know where that is. Yeah.
Is that north?
It's north of Detroit. Yeah. Yeah.
So it's north of Detroit. Is that close to like Pontiac or going towards Saginaw?
I'm one of these note investors, and I never get to see the property. So this is one that we foreclosed upon, and after the Michigan's got a right of redemption for the borrowers, and once that right of redemption expired, we put it on the market. But I haven't seen it. I've never been to it. So,
Okay.
which all the mortgage notes that I've ever owned, I've never seen one of the properties, which is a little unique when it comes to real estate investing.
Yeah. Okay, that's pretty cool, yeah, man.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm originally from Saginaw, Michigan, so it's like about an hour, about 100 miles north of Detroit.
Yeah.
So I know a little bit about, got some investors all up and through there.
Yeah.
Let me know, man, what you got going on. I might be able to help you with that, man.
That's great. I'll shoot you an email with a link to the listing.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah.
Well, welcome to the podcast here, everybody, man. Everybody is listening in on Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, X, all them good sites. So we got quite a few things going on here, man. We're gonna have a hopefully excellent show here today, podcast here today, man. Hope some other people jump on today and got some great questions. I know we can, between us both, we better dive in there, man, and get all these good questions.
All right. Let's do it.
So let's start by saying, how are you personally?
Well, personally, I know it's interesting because I have a full-time day job and I'm trying to position myself to retire from that. And there's a couple little personal things going on that kind of keep pushing that back. But right now, I'm a senior manager in one of the agencies at the state of Oregon. I work for the state of Oregon, and we're about to head into the typical legislative session. I am in the middle of writing rules. As you know, in the state government, a bill gets passed and then it becomes law, and then the law gets governed by rules. So I write rules. That's what I'm doing in that regards. I also have a big system upgrade that I'm working on. So I don't know about you, Jay, but as soon as it hit 2025, all of a sudden it seemed like activity escalated about 3 or 4 times from what it was last year.
Yeah.
And so I'm busy on about 5 or 6 different things. They're all heavy, high level kind of things. And so I've got to pay attention, and I've got to make sure that I have enough energy to make sure I can manage all that.
Yeah. I understand that, man. When you have a full-time job,
Yeah.
as well as I, as well, and you're fitting everything else kind of around it and through it, and it can, as you get older,
Yep.
it's like it becomes a lot. So I definitely understand. I got a date in my head when I'm walking away from it as well. So
I love it. I love it.
So it's time, man. I think it's time. I was talking to my manager today. I'm like, man, I want to do what I do for the rest of my life. So
Yeah.
so it's like the time is ticking. So, but
I'm
I
also-
enjoy the real estate part of it, though, for sure.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting because I'm also, mostly like, from our past times that we've talked, I'm involved in the promissory note business. I'm actually a fund manager. I raise capital from investors, and we use that capital to buy promissory notes secured by real estate. And so I don't do too much in the real estate realm itself directly, but I'm also trying to buy a piece of property that is a historic building in the hometown that I grew up in. It's an old bank building that was built in about 1917, and the exterior is in really good shape. But I want to put Airbnbs in one of the levels. I want to put kind of a retail coffee shop in the main level. And in the basement, it's still got the vault, the original vault from when the building was built back in 1917. I want to put about a 20-person conference room down there and kind of make it a destination area for this particular little community that I grew up in. And the state of Oregon has got what's called a Main Street Revitalization Grant. And this property is right on the main street of the town. Well, they'll provide a $400,000 grant to help you acquire and rehab one of these properties. So I'm also spending time reading this 57-page document on grants for this particular stuff and making sure I get an application in properly. So, so there's a couple different things that I'm juggling at the same time, and hopefully I don't drop any of those balls.
Man, that's huge, man. That's huge.
Yeah.
Do you have partners that you're looking to do that with, or that's
I will look at partners. Actually, I have talked because one of the things when you run a fund, you've got to have it registered in some way affiliated with the Security Exchange Commission. So I have an SEC attorney who's out of DC, and I talked to him a couple weeks ago about, do I have to do a fund or anything like this? He says, no, you don't have to. You can pull investors for, money, capital. And as long as you give them a partial ownership or a fractional ownership in the real estate itself, and they have some voting rights in the LLC that you have to, stand up, then you don't have to list this as a fund. And so if I have the right kind of investors who want to contribute money to this, it will provide them with some cash flow as well as some tax write-off, because there'll be, some expenses that get written off on a fund on this property. And very well the tax benefits of owning real estate. So this will pass off to anybody of the members of the LLC. So if I could raise, the total amount that it's going to take to rehab this and acquire is about $2 million. And so if I could just acquire the property to begin with, then that would give me more time to draw up proper plans and do some structural analysis and things like that. So, I need about $150,000 to start off with to make acquisition on this property.
Okay.
Not a lot.
So they 400,000 basically to you say
400,000 plus the 150.
$400,000 tax break on it.
Yeah, the $400,000 for the grant and $150,000 from investors and myself would help me acquire the property. And then we can start, we'd form the limited liability company and add members as we needed to as they made contributions. And then within about 2 years, we'd be able to have a cash flow on this one here. And if I did this thing right, I could sell it in about 5 to 7 years, and everybody would get their capital back plus whatever profits we had. So, because they're really, from what I can tell, there's no recapture required on this grant. So that would be a good, and again, that's why I have to read the 57 pages.
So what do you mean by recapture?
Oftentimes when you're getting some assistance from the government, they require that you hold the property for a specific period of time. And if you sell that property or deed it over, whatever, too quickly, then they're going to want to recapture what their grant is or a portion of what that grant is. So if I hold this thing for 5 years, I think whatever sort of lien or whatever type of, hold that the government may have on giving that grant will expire by that particular point in time.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I know, like in the mortgage industry, it's called a seasoning kind of. Right. So you want to
Yeah,
make
there's
sure
a
you
little
have a
bit of
copy.
seasoning on that, but and also in the mortgage industry, you might recall what they used to have as far as prepayment penalties go.
Correct.
And if you held the loan long enough, then the prepayment penalty went away. Well, this is almost like that in some way. In the governmental realm of things, they call it a recapture.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Wow. What are one of the books that you're reading up on, man, that kind of helps you with the structure of that?
Well, I know some guys. I know
Okay.
some guys,
Okay.
Jay.
Okay. So that's good.
I've got a
That's
good
always good. That's always good to somebody who's done it, you know?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that makes sense. That makes
You know,
sense.
the
So,
interesting thing, and you know this because actually you're one of these guys, is that uh, when you're investing in real estate or these type of things, there are a lot of people around there. There are a lot of resources around there that you can call on and ask them their advice and things like that. You
yeah.
know, we call that co-opetition. So we cooperate with each other, even though we're in a form of competition with each other. But none of us, ever since I've been doing this, I haven't found anybody. Well, there's probably a few people, but really withhold helping other people out because we
Yeah.
all want to succeed and we all want to see other people succeed. And so that's one of the great things about being involved in investing in real estate is the network that you build
Yeah.
that can help you accomplish your own
Very
goals.
important. That right there, that's very important. It's important to build you a network of people, man, who are givers,
Right.
right? So,
Right.
and I read, I mean, it may be one or two out of the people that I ran across, a few of them out of the people I ran across that kind of stingy with the information. But for the
Yeah.
most part, most people, you ask a certain question, they're willing to give you the answer to that question with no problem, right? So
Right.
if you're that type of person that you willing to give information we give to you as well or gave to you as well. So
Sure.
so yeah, and it's people that does any kind of investment that you think about doing. It's somebody that out there right now is actually doing it, right?
Exactly.
If you're around any kind of REI club or whatever the case is, and you are approachable, or if you go out talking to different people, you mixing and meet with people, you're gonna run across somebody who does this, one that does this, or whatever the case is, and they'd be willing to give you some of that knowledge that they have, and maybe even willing to invest with you as well. So
Sure.
you
Yeah.
want to make sure that you get yourself out there, man. So people be more willing to work with you and tell you some information, and vice versa. Just don't be
Exactly.
just a taker all the time.
That's
Give
right.
value as well, right? It's
Right.
that
Exactly.
interchange that you're looking
I
for. So
I totally
that's what,
agree with that, and
yeah,
that's one of the reasons I like to work with you on these podcasts,
yeah,
because that's just another way of giving back to the community.
absolutely. And we
Yeah.
definitely appreciate your feedback, man. The information that you have, I can tell, is overflowing that knowledge that you have. So we definitely appreciate it. So
Yeah.
so
Thank you.
so no problem. So everybody, man, that's tuned in, man. Please like, share, subscribe. And we're gonna jump in a few of these questions, man. And hopefully some people jump on with us. Look at it if you want to be a co-host tonight. Look in the description. Go ahead, hit that link and jump right on, man, and ask your questions away. You have no issue with that. So let's jump right into this, man. So I know you buy notes.
Yep.
So we talk a little bit about a home warranty, right? Like, what is a home warranty? Um, Put it up. So a home warranty is a contract that's covered that cover repairs and replaces of home systems and appliances. So would you say that it's beneficial to have a home warranty, and if so, why?
Well, again, I've been in the mortgage industry for a long time, so there's been a lot of transactions I've been in from a financing perspective, and it's pretty traditional in a retail sale of a piece of property that the seller provides a home warranty to the buyer.
Yes, sir.
And in some ways, if it's a brand new home, that warranty can extend out to 10 years. If it's a regular type of what do you want to call that, an existing piece of property that's being sold, warranties are typically about 1 year. At least the initial year is covered by the seller. But they're very beneficial, I think, because they
Absolutely.
cover some of the key components of a house: your hot water heater, your washer, if the washer and dryer comes with the house, but your dishwasher, the refrigerator, if it's part of the sale, plumbing, and a lot of things like that, your
electrical.
heat pump and that sort of stuff. So,
Yeah, and that's important too, man. Like you said,
yeah,
normally it's covered by this actual seller, And one thing you don't want to do, you want to buy a property, right? So, most people who buy their property, they may have a little bit of money left over to cover maybe a couple of months of a payment or whatever the case is. But what if your hot water heater goes out or your electrical damages or whatever the case is? Possibly you can be in a poorhouse without having one of these things, man. So you make that payment, man, and they come out and fix this stuff for you, and you go on with your life, man. So I think it's very important to actually get your home warranty.
I was just going to say, there's nothing worse than moving in a new home, getting up in the morning to take a shower to go to work, and there's no hot water.
Yes.
And so that's one of the bad things about that. So that's where the warranty would come in to cover you that way.
I remember I had a duplex that I was selling in Michigan. And one of my friends, a friend of mine, he purchased it. And I think as soon as he purchased it, maybe a couple of months later, I think the AC unit went out on it or something like that. And he basically bought it to rent it out. He really didn't have a whole lot of money. And, good thing about it, he actually purchased that. I think he purchased it in that situation.
Yeah.
That home warranty in that situation. And so they was able to come in, be able to get new AC unit for both of the units and everything. Sure. And worked perfectly for him, man. He was so happy about that. And so up to that point, I had never really even heard of one at that point. So I started diving into doing research on them. Like, yes, it's definitely beneficial to have a home.
Yeah, and I think they're vitally important on a retail transaction when a seller is buying to or selling to a person that are going to occupy the property. I think that's, if you're the buyer on that type of transaction, it's vital to have that home warranty in place at the time you close the deal.
Absolutely, very important. So, here's some of the cons when it comes to that, right? What does it not cover? So, one of the things I looked up today was talking about sprinkler systems, maybe your garage doors, and pools, and spa, or something like that it doesn't cover.
Yeah,
but
and there might be opportunities, there might be options to add those for a fee.
Yes,
and absolutely. So, there's a basic policy, which typically is the one that gets issued in these, but for a fee, you might be able to add those other items to it, such as the pool, the pump house. What if you bought a piece of property that's on a well? Would it cover the well? And so, number of different things, and that might take some shopping around to find the right warranty company that would cover those kind of ancillary ideas.
Yeah. So we have to keep in mind too as well when we talk about a warranty. A warranty is different from maybe insurance on your property.
It is.
Right? So there's a lot different from that as well. So insurance, say you get your house burnt up or whatever the case is, God forbid, they'll replace it. But a warranty is talking about some different specific things in your home break down, or not working the way the case is, they'll take care of that. So that's right. So that may be extra stuff that you need to purchase to make sure that your life stay on track, right? And don't take it to the poorhouse, man. You want that slow drip thing, that your AC go out, then your this goes out, and before you know it, man, you're on the street, man. You don't want that problem.
Yeah. And one thing that's curious to me is you kind of did a little short comparison between a warranty and insurance. Well, typically with insurance, if you have a claim on your insurance, you're going to have to spend a deductible. There's a deductible. And I'm not sure on a warranty if there's any deductible as far as that goes.
I think I did some research on it where I think it is a deductible too, if I'm not mistaken. I think I did some research and actually said that.
Yeah.
Man, you know what? I gotta do some more research on it to make sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, if you're selling houses to retail purchasers, you do a fix and flip, or you're going to sell it to a retail purchaser. I think that becomes a sales type of attraction, adds to the value of the house if that buyer has a warranty going into it that you've provided. You're going to be able to tuck that cost into one of your profits or one of your other costs somewhere. But if I'm a buyer looking at two houses that have just recently been rehabbed, I might opt for the house that has a warranty on it versus one that doesn't have a warranty on it. So that might set you apart as a flipper or a rehabber when your houses have a warranty to that new buyer coming in.
Yeah. So I'm looking at right now. It says deductible of a home warranty are usually a flat fee per service call, ranging from so let's talk about Yeah, like a flat fee, $75 to $150.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Warranty deductible is the amount of money policyholders pays out of pocket before the insurance coverage
Yeah.
taking
Yeah.
effect.
Yeah.
So,
And there's reason for that, of course, is that, whoops, hang on just a sec. Let me shut this off. The reason for that is so people don't use it frivolously. I
correct.
mean, yeah, you
Correct.
got to have some sort of skin in the game before somebody's going to come out and make a service call.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So the more we break it all the way down, man, it's important, man, to get your warranty, a home warranty, guys.
Right.
Again, I know it's a little bit more money that you have to spend, possibly if the seller doesn't purchase it. But if you look at what it can save you in the long run by major appliances breaking down, you would wish you had one.
Yep.
If something like that would happen, or whatever the case
Exactly.
is.
Exactly.
Absolutely. And then, again, so this is also, you may have to use insurance as well. It's not the same thing as insurance. This is an extra thing that you have to do in order to make sure that, give you some peace of mind. All right. Any questions out of that one? Guys, if you have any questions, go ahead and drop your questions in the chat. If you want to jump on in the description, you look at the link, and jump on there, man, and let's get in here. Let's ask some questions. So, all right. So let's jump in. Let's jump into the next one here. So let's talk a little bit about Section 8 a little bit. Nowadays, man, a lot of investors, man, are really looking to people who have Section 8. And there are some pros and cons of dealing with people who are, Section 8 tenants. Have you had any issues when it comes to that? I know you're dealing with another aspect of it, but have you ever had any issues when it comes to Section 8?
Well, I haven't, because I haven't really had any rentals per se, because that's not my focus. But being around them, you're exactly right. There are pros and cons. One of the pros is that it's guaranteed income coming from a governmental entity. So you can always count on your rent being paid versus maybe a tenant that isn't on Section 8. And, oftentimes there's some, some issues in them paying the rent on time with a Section 8 borrower. You don't have to worry about that because the payment's coming from a government entity. But on the con side of things is that somebody who qualifies for a Section 8 may not be as financially secure as somebody else that might not be on Section 8. And so sometimes your property could be at risk for damages and things like that. So what Section 8 does not cover, for the most part, is any damage created by a tenant that's on Section 8. So excuse me, that's potentially one of the issues in that. So if you're a landlord who knows how to deal with that type of tenant, then it's good. It's good. But if you're like a mom and pop, that might be a different story.
Yeah. I mean, you have some investors who deal with they would like to deal with only with Section 8 people. And like you said, I think it's like a acquired skill to deal with that, because a lot of time, man, that first payment can take a little while before you even get it.
Yeah.
Right. So, and of course, you're dealing with some people maybe in bad situations, but here's some of the pros, right? Here's a couple of pros, right? Rent payment could potentially be a little higher that you can make, right? You got a larger pool of tenants that you can deal with as well. That's a plus. You're dealing with the government, so your money gonna come on time. So we're about to be later, things of that nature, because the government takes a big heap. The bulk of those payments are sent directly to you. So that's a huge deal. Let me see here. So renting Section 8 tenants can offer advantages like guaranteed rent payments from the government, potential lower vacancy rates. That's huge. You don't want. Let's say you got a 4-unit that you're renting. I was just looking at house hacking, right? There's one guy who purchased a 4-unit apartment where he was going to live in one of them and rent out the other ones, right? And then live rent free. And so if he was to get him some Section 8 tenants, he could possibly rent out those other 3, and maybe get a higher rent or whatever the case is, and live rent free, let them pay off the mortgages. And so now you open yourself up to a bigger pool of people who can afford it now, based on what the government is subsidizing them or whatever the case is, and of course, like you say, this is a quiet situation, right? You need to learn a little bit more about Section 8, the ins and outs, man, before you jump in it. But everybody I know who deal with Section 8, I think they, from my understanding, they like it. Right?
Yeah,
I've never dealt with one yet, so but from my understanding, it's a good thing.
yeah. The only other thing that often can cause a concern is that not only the tenant or prospective tenant has to meet certain Section 8 guidelines, so does the property. And
Yes.
so there needs to be a periodic inspection. There will be a periodic inspection by the government entity to make sure that the property meets the criteria of that. But from what I understand, because of the need for housing, they may not be as strict on the conditions of the property and things that they normally would. So there's a lot of things that that the government overlooks simply because of the need for housing.
Yeah, that's true though.
Yeah.
So we would, you're dealing with, sometimes problem tenants, right? There, because they really can't afford to be there without, the rent being subsidized by the government. They may, have evictions and all kind of stuff that can be wrong with it as well. So it's very important that I would say, get with somebody that deals with Section 8 tenants. Sit down and have a conversation with them to see what some of their potential headaches can be, what are the pros and cons that they're seeing, how do they vet people, what do they do, and you need to really take your time and learn this. If you're looking to deal with this type of a property or this type of tenants, you need to know what you're doing, right? Know what you're doing. They can be very lucrative, but as we just talked about a moment ago, if they tear up your property, you still, the government's not gonna come in and save the day when it comes to that. Just like any other property or whatever the case is, right? If
Correct.
somebody comes in on your property, so you can run that risk on both ends. So
yeah, you in their scroller, the words you have going at the bottom of the page there, one of the things you talk about is bureaucratic process.
yes.
And so it's important for the landlord to create a good working relationship with the case manager with the government. It's just like everything that I've heard you say for quite a while now. It's all about relationships. And so if I'm a landlord and you work for the government, I want to make sure I have a good relationship with you so that we do have a problem tenant, then it gets dealt with swiftly. Or if for whatever reason I have a vacancy, you as the government agent says, hey, I know a place for you guys right now. And so it minimizes your vacant property. So again, it goes back to one of the things we've already talked about tonight, and that's building relationships and networking. So it's all that kind of stuff that makes you a successful real estate investor.
Yeah, absolutely. And part of that being a great real estate investor is, man, to try to open yourself up to different avenues, maybe get tenants into your property. So this may be something you may want to take a look at. Make sure that your properties are filled. And I would, like I said, I was listening, doing a little research today about house hacking, and I thought that was a huge deal, man. Like, if you're a young person, you got to be a young person, but especially if you're a young person and you're looking to acquire your first property, let's say maybe you don't have a wife and kids yet, and you're looking to buy a property, I would definitely think about a 4-unit, living in one of those units, renting out the other 3. Let them make that monthly payment for you. Your mortgage, let them buy it down about 5 years or so. Refinance, take some money out, put towards your dream home, and now you got a 4-unit available while paying off your new home. So that's a great situation. But it's more than that way. There's more ways to house hack other than that. But I think that was a huge one. So I'm gonna do a little research on that.
Well, I like this as well, which is right along with what you were saying there, Jay, is that if you are a veteran and eligible for the federal VA loan, you can buy a 1 to 4 family unit. There is no cap at all on the loan amount with the federal VA anymore, and your entitlement. Pardon me?
0% down.
0% down. So you can get into a fourplex with
Yep.
zero money down. The other 3 units are paying your monthly payment. You live in that house for 1 or 2, maybe 3 years, depending on tax basis. And then you rent out that other unit and go buy the dream house that you talked about with the 4 units remaining, paying your payment on the new dream house that you wanted.
Man, that's you.
Yeah. And
That
the
is,
other thing you can do, here's another aspect of it. Same thing, 4-family house, you occupy 1 unit, but you want to travel. And
yes.
so when you're out of the country or traveling, whatever, then the unit that you occupy, you can Airbnb out.
Yep.
And so it never stops ceasing to provide you with the cash flow, even when you're out of the country or traveling or whatever. So there's all sorts of things that can happen. And so I really like that example that you came up with, because my son is a veteran and I think he should look for a fourplex.
Yes.
He's got a good job right now with a steady income, and that would be something that would be great for him. And especially if you're a young person, then you start that building your rental portfolio.
Absolutely.
And how many times can you do that? Well, as long as you have veteran eligibility, you can do it. Or after the first one, you've got your fourplex there producing income. Then you can try it again with a little down payment. So there's a number of different ways to perpetuate that through your entire lifetime. It's not a one-time shot. It's a strategy. You make a plan and execute that plan over 1 to 5 to 10 years.
Just imagine you do it every let's say every 3 years you do another one.
Right.
Instead of living in that one home, where that home can be possibly dragging you into the poorhouse, right? You do that live in the other one and go live your life, right? That you're building your own retirement. And the great thing about, like you say, rather than a 5 unit and a 4 unit, you still get a residential loan with a 4 unit.
Exactly.
Rather than getting a 5 unit, you got to go through commercial.
Correct.
Right? So you possibly, like you say, if you're in the Army or whatever the case is, you're doing a 0% loan, and you can get. I think if I'm not mistaken, you can get up to, I think 2 or 3 times you can use that VA, if I'm not mistaken.
As long as the eligibility is restored, sure. Yeah.
So nothing out of pocket. That's huge.
Yeah.
That is huge, man. So let me let you see this video real quick. This guy's right here. Talking about it right quick. So we'll plug it in real quick here. Then we'll talk about it.
So my client's going to live in this quadplex for free. It's called house hacking. My client will purchase this quadplex for $315,000. Using a 5% conventional loan, he'll only have to put down $15,750, which will give him a mortgage of $299,250. His monthly mortgage and expenses come out to $2,194. He'll live in the bottom unit and he'll rent out the other 3 units for $935 a month. Once his expenses have been subtracted, that leaves my client with $611 per month in his pocket. My client will get to pocket $600 every month, and his initial investment will go up in value over time, and he'll get to live in an income-producing asset for free. So if you want more information on how I'm able to accomplish that,
So was you able to hear that?
Yeah, I was. Yeah, that's great.
So that's huge. So imagine those other 3 units you're talking about. So you get a deposit, maybe first month's rent, right, for all 3 units. So something happens, you got a little money to play with to get everything fixed up. And like you say, now you can go do that traveling if you wanted to. And after about 2 or 3 more years, you look at it again, you buy you another one. 2 or 3 more years down the line, you get you another one. Well, you know it, man. You got a great portfolio. You're able to live your life, live the way that you want to live. But the way you set yourself up now is the way that you'll be able to lay back or take it easy when you get a little older.
Yep.
So if you're looking to do it now, man, I would say get your fourplex and get to building that portfolio up.
Sure. And don't forget, when you buy that property, to get a home warranty.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So if something happens, you're good to go.
There you go.
So man, this was huge, man. We got a lot out of this, man. This is huge. This is huge. So tell everybody about what you do and how they can be a part of what you got going on, Mr. Cody.
All right. Well, thank you. I appreciate that opportunity to talk. So, basically, I am what's called a fund manager. I have two funds that are registered with the SEC that basically allow me. Formally, they're called a Regulation D fund. Okay. Well, it allows me to raise capital from investor. It exempts me from certain registrations with the SEC, provided I follow all the rules. And so, and I can only raise so much, but we raise capital from investors and we use that money to purchase promissory notes secured by residential real estate. So I am not the landlord. We jokingly say I'm not the landlord. I am the lien lord because I buy the paper, I buy the mortgage. So I don't own the property. And so in a lot of situations, we own the mortgage of somebody living in the property. And if the toilet breaks or overflows, I'm not the one getting the call because I don't own the property. So it's really, in a lot of ways, mailbox money. It's a quasi passive way to invest in real estate without owning the real estate. And so I like it a lot because I don't have to deal with tenants. Most of my activity is dealing with other businesses. I deal with investors who want to invest in, or I deal with hedge funds or banks and credit type facilities that own these mortgages that want to sell them and recapitalize or whatever reasons going on in their balance statement. So if you've had a home loan and at some point in time that loan gets sold and transferred to another company, well, that company could be the one I run. That's what we do. We're part of that secondary market play because every mortgage loan out there, every mortgage note or deed of trust, depending on your state, is a saleable commodity. And so that's what I look for. I look for those saleable commodities to put in my portfolio so I can pay back my investors. And then I get a little slice of it. My son and I, who run the fund, we manage the fund. We have every loan set up with a loan servicer. I think we work with like 2 or 3 different loan servicers across the country. I have a network of attorneys around the country that assist me on the legal side of things. And so it's a difference between investing in a note or running a note business. And I do both. Personally, I invest in notes. I like to do it in my IRA. So all that money is tax-free to me or tax deferred. But we also run this business. And so the business is the one that, has the capacity to buy larger amounts and pay better returns to our investor.
Huge, guys. So Cody is not the one who's twisting the light when that light goes out or fixing that toilet or
That's
getting
right.
that late night call from that tenant.
Yep.
Right? So
that's exactly right.
So you're not a landlord. What'd you say?
I'm a lien lord.
I'm a lien lord.
Yeah.
I know you guys heard us from earlier where we was talking about a property that he owns that's in Michigan that he never saw before.
Yeah.
So how do you do that, right? That's how you do it. You let your money work for you. So man, that's huge. So I got a question. So I have a scenario. I have a friend of mine, a great friend of mine. I've been knowing him since pre-K, to be honest with you. So
yeah,
we talked a little bit today. So he has a scenario with a property. Let's see if we work through this. Hopefully he tunes in to hear. So he bought a property that him and his wife were living in. He bought it owner finance, right?
Okay.
He did a contract. Yep. He did a contract with the gentleman, and the gentleman he passed away in December, I think he said. Right. He passed away in December. He only has my friend of mine only has like a year that he's supposed to pay the property off, right? But he did a contract with it, but he did not go and put a lien on the property, anything like that, or go through a title company. So he just did the contract with that person. So now his kids, not his kids, but his actual family members or whatever are calling him to make some payments to them, and the tax people are calling and all that stuff, right? What do you suggest in that situation?
So what state is the property in?
Michigan.
Okay, so Michigan treats land contracts as a separate type of thing than a mortgage or a deed of trust. Yeah. So what you would have there is the owner of the contract who passed away, then that would be part of his estate. And so depending on who the executor is, in Oregon, we call that a personal representative. They hold the power of that contract by holding the contract. And so he does have the obligation to make the payments, to continue the payments. But if I was in his chair, I would ask to see the will, or there's a term, what is it called? There's a term in the probate. And so to make sure that you're paying to the right person, because anybody could call up and say, hey, I'm an heir on this property. You need to start making the payment to me. Well, it's called the letters testamentary. Okay. Funny legal term, letters testamentary. And in that letters testamentary, which is part of the probate file that's at the county, in the county records, will tell you who is legally obligated to execute that probate. Okay. Gotcha. And again, in Oregon, that person who is legally obligated or able to do that is called the personal representative. In most states, it's called the executor. Okay. Now, as far as payment property taxes, okay, a lot of that should be spelled out in the contract itself, that who is responsible to pay property taxes.
So the seller in this situation, the seller was responsible to do it.
Okay. So you have to think about this. Probably what it is when your friend made the payment to the seller, part of that payment maybe paid an underlying mortgage. The underlying mortgage had an escrow account to pay the taxes. It sounds like that's not the case if the county's calling to pay the taxes. So there is probably some taxes owed. And if I own that piece of property, even though it says in the contract that the seller needs to pay the taxes, I would want to make sure that the county does not foreclose my contract out and I lose my house. And as you may know, Michigan is pretty aggressive on those things. Detroit itself has one of the highest rates of tax liens in the whole country. I've actually bought a property off an auction in Detroit. And so I know how aggressive it can be. So it's really a matter of, they may be responsible for it, but what do I need to do to protect my interest in the property? Because I don't want to lose all the equity I've built over it. And perhaps that's the house I live in, and I don't want to disrupt my family because of somebody else's mistake. So that's how I might deal with it. But then again, you might withhold payment to the other to the contract holder until they do pay the taxes, but then you have a risk of forfeiting your contract. So your friend is not in the best situation at all, but it's a matter of how much he wants to protect his own property, and so he's going to have to play with that. So
I was letting him know, go down to the courthouse and basically put a cloud on the title.
Well, he should record what's called at least a memorandum of land contract. He doesn't have to record the contract, but a memorandum of land contract that tells everybody, again, that's notice to the world, that there is a cloud on that title.
Yes. And then I told him in that situation, even though he was making the payments to the seller to pay the taxes on the property, and it's obvious that he didn't do that, I would say I would say pay it. I would say pay in this situation because, like you say, Michigan is very aggressive when it comes to foreclosing on properties, taxes. And if they're already calling, it means that he probably ain't paid them in a while. Right? They send the emails, So we need to pull that up to see exactly how much it is. Now, if you got tons of equity in it, you got to kind of weigh this out. If if you have tons in it, then you can, if it's a couple grand or whatever the case is, you might need to go ahead and take care of that. And like you say, so we need to see who is executor of that, so you know who you should be paying in this situation. You don't want to be paying the nephews or the auntie or whatever the case is, and that money going in their pockets, and then they taking it off to Walmart and buying and shopping till they drop, right? And they going to where it needs to go. So so basically what you just said was the exact same thing I actually told him today.
Perfect. Now there is one way. It's too late in your friend's situation. But if you ever buy a property on a land contract, you want to make sure that you're making payments to a third-party servicer.
Service company. Exactly.
Yeah, and I'll even pay the $15 a month to do that, because the responsibility of that servicer would be to make sure a portion of that goes to pay the underlying mortgage, or they can collect to pay the property taxes when it comes due in their own escrow account. And then a portion will get remitted back to the seller of the house, the seller of the contract, for their monthly payment. So one of the things that, as you advise other people in this kind of situation, when they're making that purchase right off the bat, make sure that they are making their payments to a third-party servicer who will keep track of all the payments going in there. So the other thing is that you and I both know that mortgage interest is deductible on your tax return.
Yes.
The mortgage servicer is responsible for sending that 1098 out to the borrower so they can use that for tax purposes. If you're making a payment to a private party, like the guy that just passed away, I would venture to say they're not aware of that, and they're not sending out the 1098. So you're losing a deduction that you normally would have had on your income tax return. So those are just some cautionary things that you and I can talk about all day, when you're dealing with paper like this.
Now, so what was ironic last week on the show, that's what we was talking about, actually servicing companies. The benefits of servicing companies.
Yeah.
And so what you just said, you really kind of walked it down. So, let's see. Somebody said something better. Okay, this is something different. But we actually kind of talked about that as well.
Oh, good.
So servicing company is very important, man. They keep everything above board. So, and you want to make sure you cloud that title as quickly as possible.
Right.
You want to make sure that is taken care of. But so I let him know, it's a kind of uphill battle a little bit, man. But you should be able to work through it, man. But you got to take first thing in the morning. I told him, if you can leave work now and go up there now to figure this out now, do it. But if not, do it first thing in the morning to take care of that. So you can see, and then he got one more year and he pays it off,
Yeah. That's another thing to think about. He says and he believes that all his payments are being credited properly, and he's only has one more year before it's paid off. It'd be interesting to get that kind of commitment out of the heirs now, to make sure that they're on the same page and same track, that yes, you will have this fully paid off. And then what do? It's paid off. What do? Okay. Yeah. What sort of paperwork is involved to prove to the world that they have paid off the contract? So there's
so he was telling me he does have a contract. He has a contract on it, so a contract with deed, basically owner.
Right.
So he has that, and so I asked him, "Do you got proof that you've been making these payments consistently, like through your bank or whatever, however you're paying them?" He said he got proof of that. All right, so they both signed a contract or whatever, because hopefully, since it wasn't recorded, hopefully he didn't get a loan off the property.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So that could be a possibility. He may be doing a contract with you and then been recorded and then draw money off this property, and now you got a whole lot of problems going on here. So before you pay any taxes, you need to go up there to make sure that the title is, make sure everything is clear with the property, man, before you do anything with it. So
absolutely,
hopefully he saved that home for him, man. I know he was shook up today, so I'm gonna make sure I walk him through it, man. But everything he said was right on point.
Yep.
So this is why, guys, you need to tune in to Real Estate Aholic. Game like that. Well, I can't say it's game, but information like that, man, is priceless, man. When you're dealing with a particular deal, because there's no such. What I've learned about real estate, there's no cookie cutter real estate deal. Like all of them line up just like this. It's always gonna be something that's gonna be a little off. You're gonna learn something from each deal that you do. Right? You get a person who's been in the business for a long time. Of course, they're gonna have a little bit more different types of tools to solve other problems that could possibly help you as well. Right? So tune in to if not just the Real Estate Aholic, but other podcasts as well. Read your few books, man. Get out there and get to doing stuff. This is where you gain your knowledge from.
Yeah. In the scenario you just talked about with your friend, I can think of 3 or 4 different additional things that he needs to be aware of. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because one, the seller of the contract is now passed away. So what happens to the title of the property? Typically the title would go by a deed to the estate of whoever that was, managed by the executor. Okay, so the executor has the authority to sign off on it, because when he finally does pay off that contract, he's got 1 year left. They have to execute 2 documents. They'll execute what's called a satisfaction of contract, which tells the world, and then they'll execute a warranty deed, which is transferring the title from who it was to who it is. And so whoever that executor is a very key person for your friend, again, to build that relationship with, to make sure that everything that your friend has been counting on for the years actually does happen a year from now.
Yeah, man. What you don't know can hurt you.
It can.
You know, what you don't know can hurt you, man. So to me, it was, I've been doing it for a while, so I know you got to make sure you cover your butt. But you dangle a property like that in front of some person, man, who say, man, I just put $5,000 down or $10,000 down. This is my property. I'll make payments to you. Okay, cool. But you never think about, what if that person get hit by a bus?
Right.
What's gonna happen then, right?
Yeah.
So you got to make sure you think enough up front, so that way in the back end it come out a little bit smoother. You know what I'm saying? So that's food for thought for everybody out here in this game looking to acquire real estate. Make sure you take care of what's up in front, so that way you smooth this thing out in the back end. So, but listen, this was action packed, man.
It's good. I enjoy this with you, Jay.
Yeah, I definitely do.
I do.
I definitely do it with you, man. You always come on, man, and you ready to go too, man. So I salute to you.
That's great.
So is there anything you need to touch on before we jump off?
I think I'm fine. I think this was good topics. I've always liked the way that you actually prepare for these, rather than just try and do things off the top of your head, because that makes for a much more concise conversation. So, I look forward to the next time I can join you, and we'll have some fun stuff to talk about.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate you too for jumping on, man. How you guys doing out there, man? So you guys doing okay though? Other than that, family doing great. You good health.
Everything's everything's going well. There's this thing called life. There's often hurdles to go over, and so it's better to go over them than under them. So,
that's a fact. That's a fact. So listen, everybody, man, we'd like to thank you guys for jumping on with us, man. This is Real Estate Aholics, man. We're getting ready to kick this thing all the way off here pretty soon here, man. So thanks to everybody who tuned in.
Yes,
thank you. Go back and look at some of the old episodes as well. Like we talked about service and company last week. I think a lot of information that we talked about will be very beneficial. But hey, cover your butt in this real estate game, man. If you don't know, what you don't know can't affect you.
That's right.
Right. Get around somebody who does know. Read you some books, whatever it takes, man, so you can make sure you do as much as you can on the front end, make it easy on the back end. So,
I like it.
Cody, man. Hey, man, I appreciate you,
my friend.
And we'll see you at the title company, my brother.
We'll talk to you soon. God bless you.
Same to you.
All right. Bye-bye.
MCA Back Office for Real Estate Wholesalers.
Have you heard about real estate wholesaling? What is wholesaling? It is the process of finding off-market properties and passing it along to an end investor. The goal of a wholesaler is to find a discounted property, get it under contract, and then sell it to a buyer for a profit. Because of this strategy, wholesaling properties is one of today's quickest methods of turning a profit. We can help you. We are your real estate back office for residential and commercial real estate wholesaling. Try us out for free the first 30 days. Book a 15-minute call with the JV King of Real Estate, Coach Jay Wicker, and let us partner up on your first deal. We have access to buyers, hard money lenders, title companies, contracts, leads, real estate comps in 50 states. Scan the QR code now to book a call with Coach Jay.